Hello, in last time's tutorial we actually changed the actual cube into a Suzanne monkey, but in this tutorial what I'm going to show you is the same effect used to actually make quite a good transitional text effect from one text to another. So let's just make some text in Blender quite simply and quite easily. So X to delete the cube, and we'll add in some text. Right, as you can see, the text is found under Add, and it's just there. Right, you can change your text to whatever you want, so I'm just going to quickly do that by selecting the A here on the Data tab, then going into Edit mode, and I'm just going to call this Blender Cool Text Effect or something like that. Cool. So we've got our first bit of text. I'm just going to actually go down to here and actually put it into the center. I'm also going to rotate it by 90 degrees, so select the text by pressing the tab key, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Not that 90 though. Control Z to undo. Rotate along the X, which is the red line, by 90. I'm just going to scale this text up and just move it up in our screen. As you can see, we've got our text effect. I'm just going to press the End key to actually switch my camera off, like that. So this box here is my screen. So we've got our text. Press the End key just to get rid of that again. We've got our text, and I'm just going to add in a bit of a bevel to them. No, in fact, not a bevel. I'll just extrude it slightly, like that, just to give it a little bit of thickness. So we've got our cool text effect, and we're going to transform it into, so I'll call that cool text. So we've got cool text, Blender cool text effect, and I'm going to transform that into something else. Let's just make another text. So add in a mesh and text. I'll say, let's just go into edit mode and actually change it, and we'll call this one, I'll make it water cool text. What? In fact, we'll call it great, so it can actually changes the actual words. Great text. So we've got this, and I'm just going to actually select this other text and just going to quickly hide it just so I can work on this other text. So we're going to go on to center, rotate on the X by 90 just like we did before, and scale it up. So we've now got two sets of text. I'll just put it there. I'm going to extrude again. You can also add custom bevels and all sorts of things in the text, but that's not the point of this tutorial. The point of this tutorial is just showing you how we can change one text into another text. Right, but when you actually change this from a text object into a mesh object, you've got to remember that the text then can't be edited. So edit it to your heart's content until you think it's got to that point where it's great, but then we're going to change this into a mesh. Sorry. So we've got our two sets of text here, Blender cool text effect, and we're going to say change it to what a great effect, or is it great? First of all, we're going to actually change these into a mesh object. So object, convert, and we're going to convert it from a curve into a mesh. So convert to mesh, and what that's done is made a very messy text there, which is not very good for what we need for our transitional effect, but we'll change that shortly. But let's just change them both. Hide the other one, and we're going to change this from a text object. As you can see, all the actual things can still be altered, and go on object and convert to a mesh. And as you can see, that's made a very messy text object. So next thing we should do is actually change this to a something with better topology, because that is absolutely rubbish and really bad topology. and won't work very well in our text effect. So looking at that, as you can see, we'll go on our little window here and actually fetch up statistics. As you can see, that's got 4,000 faces on that one, and on the other one, it's got 3,387 faces. So let's make these something similar, but we're going to actually tidy up our geometry first. Select What a Great Text, and we're going to add in a modifier, and the modifier we're going to add in, so let's just search, is a thing called the remesh modifier. So as you can see, the remesh modifier actually is changing our text into something else. So what we're going to do is we're going to go on to smooth, and we've got a thing called oak tree, and rather than removing disconnected, we're going to actually untick this. And as you can see, there's not much detail there for our text, so we increase the actual detail. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now 8 for most circumstances is quite a good amount. I'm just going to shade smooth this. And as you can see, that's quite a clear-cut improvement. So I'm just going to apply that. But as you can see, we've got now 126,000 faces, which is quite a lot of faces, and we're probably going to reduce that slightly. So go on to the other text effect. I'm just going to hide the first text and go on the other text. So change the cool text, and we're going to do it exactly the same way. So search, and we're going to select remesh. Go on smooth again. Right, and we're going to actually search and go on remesh. As you can see, go on smooth, and the voxel's just the same. Remove disconnected. And in this case, I think 8 looks good enough, so I'm just going to apply that. So we've got our text effect, so it's a Blender cool text, and the other one says not a lot. Oopsie daisy, what have I done there? Let's change this to 1, 2, 3. I must have forgot to apply it, but apply. So what we've got there is we've got our text. If we actually go into our text now, as you can see, the topology is good. Everything's actually split into quads. Go on to our other text, and as you can see, it's all split into quads. And just shade smooth. And shade smooth. So we've got our text now, and all we need to do is actually make this go from one to the other. But like I said, there's quite a lot of geometry here, and it might crash your machine. So sometimes it's a good idea to actually get rid of some of the geometry, and you can do this quite simply by going into edit mode, pressing the A key to select all, and what you've got down here is unsubdivide. And I've hit unsubdivide, and that's took it down to 20,000 faces. But it still looks quite cool, and it still looks like the text in question. So let's select the other text, and then A to go into edit mode, A to select all, and then I'm going to unsubdivide again. That's took it down to 47,000 faces, which is still quite a lot. Let's just unsubdivide one more. And that takes it down to, and does the text look okay? I think it may do, well, good enough for this actual. So we've got text now, and we've got 39 faces on one, and we've got 21,000 on the other. That's probably because there's more letters in one than the other. So we've got this, and we want to do our cool effect or transition from one text to another text. So we select the first text. So we decide which is going to be your first text. So what a great effect. Let's have a look. And what's the other one say? And what a great text. Right, so Blender Cool. So I'm going to go from Blender Cool to the other one. So you actually select the Blender Cool text effect and then what a cool text effect or whatever it is. So we've got the actual two transforms there, and we can actually now go to object, and we're going to do this convert. In fact, no, we're not. We're going to do a quick effect and select explode. As you can see, we've got explode here, but we don't want this to explode because both texts would just go bang and just fall down the screen. What we want it to do is blend from one to the other in our scene. So I'm going to go onto there. As you can see, it's only set to 100 pieces, so it's probably not enough to actually make this look like a good effect, but let's just run with it and just see. Right, the start frame starting at 231, and our scene only goes up to 250, so there's not enough there, so let's do our start frame at 20, and we'll make the end of our frame 180. So as you can see, the screen's already changing, and the reason it's doing that is it's actually attempting to actually go from one to the other. We change the actual explode style to blend, and as you can see, we've got this what a great text. So let's just play this, and I'll just actually show you once again this effect and how it works. So we're pressing play, so now it's going to go through the animation starting at frame 20 and take one part of the text apart and then transform it into the other words of the other text. And that is the actual text effect shown plain and simply. So as you can see, it sends changes from Blender Cool Text Effect. Now you've got to figure that this is going to be running at 30 frames a second. So just remember that, because obviously this is doing it in slow time. And as you can see, it's only actually splitting one set of words into 100 pieces and then transforming it into the other. And I think that the actual maximum number of pieces that you can actually split it up in this is 10,000. But let's actually just change this now. If you click on here, this box will vanish. There is ways to actually manipulate the actual text or the text effect, and I'll show you them in a minute once we've actually gone off of the screen. But this is just a real handy piece of screen just to actually help you set things up. To actually play the animation, you actually hit this button here, which is, there's the pause, there's the play. But as you can see, this box is not vanishing. But if you were to click on this screen, this will vanish and then it becomes somewhat fixed. So I'm just going to change this to 200 frames, which obviously will make our animation slightly slower. As you can see, with 200 frames, it gives it quite a few different pieces. If we turn this to 1,000, obviously the pieces get smaller, and that might be the effect you're wanting. So it like seems to actually, each letter explodes, wanders about a bit, and then becomes part of the new text that it's making until it reaches frame 150, 180, when everything should be actually in place. As before on a previous tutorial, we can actually change the outward velocity. So if I change this to 4, what it does is it gives them each piece a bit of energy, and it does the actual explosion part. So as you can see, it gives it a bit of energy. So it wanders around a little bit, and then of course it comes back and makes the new text. Let's get a lot of energy. Change it to 10, so this should be really noticeable. So we're giving it a lot of energy now. And you see that the actual text seems to vanish into little flying objects before it starts to actually merge back together into our new text. And it's finished at 180, just the same. Right, this duration is the actual amount of time it wanders around on the screen. So if we were to change this to 10, this is moving quickly from frame to frame. So you see the pieces move a lot quicker to form the text and wander around quite a lot less, which might be the other effect you're wanting in your scene. So it's like a disassembly of one text and the reassembly of the other. Changing it to 1 duration should mean like it actually just goes from one place to the other place and sort of constructs one text from one piece of text to the other, and you can see that it's actually eating away at one bit of the text and appearing on the other. But this might be the other effect you're wanting. I'm just going to change the outward velocity to this to 1, so it's a more direct effect. I'm going to change the duration to 40, just so there's a few more steps in between. So now it'll look like a bit more smoother effect or transition, because it's the duration that a particle will move around until it becomes the new text. There we go. And of course, the actual the text can be actually fully texturized if or painted. It's entirely up to you, because it doesn't actually affect this this effect, because it's actually using a fade from the actual base colours to the new colours in your text. Right, we've done that, so you get the idea of the actual text effect. We'll take it up to the actual maximum, which is 10,000. I don't know if we've got enough faces for this to actually work too well, which makes it even smaller particles. But of course, the more particles you have in your scene, the more likely that Blender is to crash. As you can see, it's more like little fireflies eating away at the text. But that might be the effect you wish to have. Or like little bees. It's like the old text gets eaten away to create the new text. As you can see, it's taking its toll on my computer, and it's really slowed down at pace. Let's just make these wander around a bit. So give them a bit of energy or outward velocity, and just to see the actual effect this does. So now, of course, we get it some energy, so the actual words seem to explode as they vanish. And as you can see, it's actually really rebuilding the new text from the old text. Now I'm going to take this back down to 1,000 just to make it a bit more smooth on my computer before it actually decides it's going to, if I make it 2,000, slows my computer down completely. So it's now split into 2,000 pieces, and as you can see, my computer's speeding back up a bit, which is a little bit easier to see. But lastly, I'm just going to actually show you something that's quite cool. So I'm just going to actually change the outward velocity to 2. So they've got a little bit of energy. Now, if you move the text around the screen, obviously it'll do different things. But say you want to actually fade some text out to black, or you want some text to appear on your screen, and you can actually then render it out in an actual animation, so you can place it over some other item. So you want to actually make some text appear and make some text disappear. So we've got our text here. So we're going from cool text to what a great text. So if you actually delete the actual text it's going to, so I'm just going to delete this one, because that's the great, isn't it? So I'll just change its name so I remember. So I've got great. So I'm going from cool to great. So if I delete the actual great text, X and delete, what happens is that the actual cool text will then vanish. So I'll just show you. Blender cool text effect, and as you can see, it's just sort of vanishing into midair. So this could be used as a text fade, if you so wished. So the text is fading out. There we go. Control Z, I'll make the other text appear again. So we've got great. This time I'm going to actually make the great appear. So we're going to get rid of the cool text effect. So X, delete. And this has the opposite effect. So the actual text will start appearing from frame 20 until it gets to 180 when it will have fully appeared. Which might be the other effect you wanted. As you can see, it's just actually drawing the text and making it appear with the particles out of midair. Right. Control Z just to make the other one reappear. Right, lastly, there is just one more thing to show you, and that is that these particles are still fully controllable. So we can actually still go onto our particles here. So we've got our two texts. As you can see, one text has got 2,000 particles and the great text has got 2,000 particles. But what we could do is change this from to 100 particles. So the 100 is actually being broken into 100 pieces. As you can see, it's been broken up and it's using 2,000 pieces to actually create the other text. We've changed them both to actually 100. We're back to our chunky text. So there we go. So even though this box vanished there, it's everything that is still available to actually use and manipulate. So you've still got the frame start there at 20. For some reason that ends at 140, but there we go. And the other one ends at 140. But the velocity is down here, so you can actually change each text effect to actually have a different velocity. So if we leave one at 2 and change the great to, say, 10, we should see a different thing happening. And the lifetime here is the duration. That's just another thing to take. As you can see, it's wandering around and it transforms slowly from one to the other text, depending on the velocity. And of course, you've got randomized phases, so you can actually change the actual velocity randomly down here. You've just got a lot more control in these boxes. As you can see, these are really wandering around now because I actually changed this to 17. But that might also be the effect you wish to have. So you've still got full control, but it's greater control. But I could spend a month explaining the different parts of this, but it's up to you. Enjoy, find, and just look for different things in Blender to do. Bye for now. And don't forget to subscribe.